Our legal analyst, Mercedes Colwin, is here. The squeeze begins.
Right.
Tell me what he faces. Like, if you're Paul Manafort and these are the charges against you, what can happen to you?
Significant 40 years in prison, plus millions of dollars in fines. I mean, he's 68 years old. Basically, the balance of his life will be behind prison. And you already see the prosecutors swinging. They're coming out and they're saying before the arraignment, Judge, we want him under house arrest. We want a $5 million bail. Any defense attorney will tell you, we're talking about economic crimes here, really, because it's money laundering. You don't have economic criminal charges and $5 million bail on top of it. You don't see that. But that's why they're taking such a significant, aggressive approach with Manafort.
So if you're the prosecutor and you're trying to get Manafort to tell you whatever he knows, you wait and hear what it is that he's going to tell you before you decide whether to drop the charges, right?
Exactly right. And now all these back-channel communications begin. I mean, look, his attorney came out.
He says he's fighting. Fists.
He's fighting, swinging, I'm going for it. Great. A lot. Obviously, he's doing this to send signals to the prosecutor. We're not just going to lay down here. We're going to fight it. But frankly, all these backdoor channel communications start. This is what Manafort will say, listen, I have this information. You can perhaps even wire me. I mean, there's so many options that the feds will do, especially when you're talking about these really significant charges with such a huge penalty.
Regarding George Papadopoulos, fewer people know of him. Right. If you want to do some looking back, you can see that Donald Trump named him as a foreign policy advisor in March of 2016.
Right.
These conversations, these emails and the rest with the Russians, up to 5 with the Trump people, happened thereafter. Then in October of this year, the charges were filed.
Right.
Now we learn about it. But there's that period between April of 2016 and last month. We don't know. But we do know from the prosecution that he has been described by them as a proactive cooperator.
Sure.
What does that mean, proactive cooperator?
Well, he's probably helping during that process. That window that you
Does
just
that mean wearing a wire?
Could have been wearing a wire, could have his phones tapped. I mean, these are all things that the feds have at their disposal and do routinely, especially when they go after some of these individuals who can face significant charges. What was so weird about Papadopoulos is that generally when you're lying to the feds, you're also obstructing justice. You're impeding the investigation. So it's hand in hand. You have charges, you lied to the feds, you obstructed justice.
Same
hand
thing.
in hand. Same thing, but you've got 2 different charges, 10 years in prison, potentially. We only saw the plea to 1. He could have pled to both, and then just the sentencing will be significantly less. But that's already signaling this is a catch-all phrase, a catch-all charge. Prosecutors use it all the time. They do it. It's hand in glove with lying to feds. It's not there.
On the one side, with Papadopoulos, you have a man who is pleading guilty to something.
Right.
And cooperating along the way. That's one thing.
Sure.
On the other hand, you have Paul Manafort, who was obviously very close to the campaign team and to the president, who is now fighting. Mm-hmm. And in the indictment of Paul Manafort, they don't say Trump once.
Not once.
Never.
No.
So I guess the prosecutors are doing 2 things at the same time with these 2 bits of information.
They're juxtaposing it. They're saying, listen, we have some evidence, but we're going to continue to work on that evidence. And by the way, Manafort, you're really in this very dark abyss here with lots of charges pending over your head. If you want us to be reasonable, you want us to drop charges, you want to work with us, you need to give us a lot more information. And frankly, I think the next step is going to be, they're aiming at the king, they better kill him. They're going to go deep into his company and get some other individuals that may have more information. They start high and they go low and then they continue going all the way up to the very top.
Thank you, Mercedes.
Great to be here.
Nice to see you.